everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to another one of our Ivey MBA Admissions Series podcasts. I'm Lindsay Lippmann, joined by my fabulous colleague, Aimee Froude.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here to discuss scholarships today.
Yeah. It's a popular question we're asked about is how do we make scholarship decisions? And so while we've had more robust podcast episodes that break down quite detailed to the essays, what we look for, the different types of scholarships, we wanted this one to be a little bit more fast and furious about what really are the factors we look at when making scholarship decisions.
Yeah. And so over the next, 10 minutes or so, let's say, we're going to hit on really the major pieces that we're looking at when determining scholarship. And let's face it, scholarship is important when you're thinking about applying to an MBA because we know it's a big investment. So the scholarship piece is important. And so what do we look at? There are a number of things that we're looking at, but I think the main thing to point out here is that it is merit-based.
Right.
And so not needs-based.
Right.
And so we're really looking at the caliber of the applicant when we're thinking about, okay, where does A land compared to B, right? And so there is a little bit of a comparison that we look at there.
And don't you find like people get confused with what merit really means? Right?
Absolutely.
And I get it. It's like, well, what do you mean by merit? Like strength. And when you're saying comparing A and B, like we can break down for the listener, like what really are those merit factors?
Exactly. So when we're thinking about merit, it's, and it truly is overarching because there's a number of pieces that play into that. And so we're thinking about leadership as one piece, and we can kind of build that out a little bit. Impact, influence, academic horsepower. What does that mean? And MBA readiness. And so
also, what does that mean?
And what does that mean, right? These are all kind of like terms like floating out there. So when we nail that down a little bit further, of course, leadership. When you think about leadership, it's, what are the traits of a leader? And so we want to see that built in to your application in areas. And so you do have the opportunity in many areas of the application to really kind of build that out, if you will, for instance, in the essay portion, obviously through your resume.
Right.
And that's where we take a lot from.
Right.
And so just a tip there, really be thoughtful around how you're going to kind of put that into I would say a succinct outline of your impact. And so that impact, we like to say
it's
that
a big
word
word we use. It's a small but mighty word we use around here a lot.
It is.
On that note, too, like professional references play a big role in that, to your point, impact, leadership, influence, because sometimes it's hard to capture that within your resume or to sell yourself effectively. It can be a little awkward, and the references can help. I know common question we're asked is, well, if I have a 675 GMAT, that means I'm going to get an X valued scholarship. And quick answer is no, that doesn't mean that. Yeah. I mean, to your point, like one of the categories is academic horsepower, intellectual horsepower. We use both quite easily. And really it's coming down to that category has to be strong under the merit umbrella. And yes, if you have a strong standardized test score, GMAT or GRE, that's going to help. Yeah. It's not going to be the defining factor. Like none of these merit factors alone are going to define offer or scholarship value.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it there because it's not one siloed piece of that. What we've just laid out there is going to make the difference in terms of the scholarship, being at X, Y. It's really holistic. We talk about that, quite a bit, but it's kind of like a meshing of all of those pieces, right?
Absolutely.
Like when we're thinking about the merit, it is the impact, the influence, the academic horsepower, and the readiness piece. And so the readiness is something that we talk about. It's a big part of knowing whether you're ready.
You want to say ready.
I'm like readiness and ready. They go hand in hand. But, that is really important because I don't know that there's enough, enough kind of focus put on the readiness piece because the readiness tells us a lot. You could have great work experience, great GMAT score, great undergrad. It shows on paper, but when you really sit down and have that discussion with either myself or Lindsay or the career management team, and you really can't encapsulate that or convey it or demonstrate why behind it, that tells us a lot. It's like, oh, maybe you're not ready. And so that does play a part into, the scholarship piecing as well.
The other piece of the MBA readiness is, you're right, it's all about, are you ready for this MBA? But what comes into that, too, are the soft skills demonstrated. So the maturity piece, understanding the rigor of the program, understanding that it's not going to be spoon-fed to you everything. There's work involved. You're going to get some constructive feedback. So are you adaptable? Are you resilient? Are you ready to take this on? And that's encapsulated in the MBA readiness category, to the point of also what you said, in your career, have you had enough experiences that have demonstrated that leadership piece earlier we touched on? But that in conjunction with your personality, your drive, your ambition, your resiliency, adaptability, are you ready for the MBA? And what you want out of it, does it make sense? And can we get you there? So collectively, those are really the three things that we look at, offer and scholarship, and not one of those things is going to determine it alone.
Absolutely. It's really, we're looking, and I would say this, that sometimes we get the question, but my GMAT. My GMAT is, it's really in the top 5%.
Excellent.
That's great. That's great. I mean, it definitely does showcase your aptitude for maybe, the quantitative and thinking critically, but you've also got to have the other piece to that.
That's right.
And so it's, like we've said, it's marrying those two pieces together, and that's the holistic.
So saying that actually makes me also want to counter that. And this on the other side of it, where if you only have a 570 GMAT, let's say, that doesn't mean you're not going to get a good scholarship. So it's on both sides of the spectrum of it, is either high or low on either side. It's coming together, looking at all these pieces. The stronger you are holistically, the likelihood of offer is higher and scholarship is higher. Now, I know we talked earlier about there's a bit of confusion on the optional scholarship essay. So before we wrap up on these merit factors, maybe you want to clarify what that optional essay actually means.
Right. And so, for those of you that are now thinking about the application in that phase of things, and you're doing your research and you're looking at the available scholarships, something really important to point out is that we only provide, I don't want to say only, but we provide scholarships. Those are admission scholarships. We only have one type. The difference being is that we have named scholarships that you can apply for as part of that admission scholarship. The focus here being is that they all represent something differently. And so, for instance, just to touch on, let's say Forte Fellowship. It's a fellowship, but it's a scholarship. And so this is also an admission scholarship. It's not in addition to a scholarship. So what you do need to do, if you're truly interested, in this case with Forte, which is women's initiatives, you're going to, convey your interests through the optional scholarship, obviously be very thorough in why. You also need to fill out the scholarship portion. So there are two required, okay?
Because just because you do the optional essay doesn't mean you're going to be granted that essay you've written about. So that's why we still need you to always do the scholarship essay. And then if you want to be part of one of those additional considerations, like not additional value, but a specific consideration, I should say, then you have to write that essay. And to clarify, there's only a few of these fellowships that classify under that optional scholarship essay. That we have the full directory of donor-named awards on our website as a simple transparency. You don't apply for those specific donor awards.
That's right.
Because that can be some confusion as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Transparency sometimes leads to confusion, and I get it. But we just thought, let's just take a moment to clarify this, because I do get you don't want to miss the opportunity.
No, you don't. And we have those questions that kind of, they come back to us, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize that. So if we can be as transparent as possible, we're trying to do that now, but questions are welcome. So reach out.
Well, I think that captures, again, so those more specific questions we have about the scholarship decision, merit really means, the optional essay. And no, it's not just based on the GMAT alone, nor is it based on financial need. So we hope you found this helpful, and looking forward to seeing your application come through.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching today. If you'd like to engage with us further and you've not yet submitted your resume assessment, that would be a great next step. Simply visit our website, upload your resume or LinkedIn profile, and one of us will get in touch with you to discuss your candidacy for a full-time 1-year MBA program. Thanks again for watching.